Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Wicked Campfire podcast with me, Phyllis Mackenzie. If you're new here, kindly check out our social media pages, and you can also check out our second channel, which is Life Podcast. And today's episode, we are talking about astral projection with another by my friend Joe. He's back for his final episode on this first quarter of the year on Wicked Campfire Podcast. Hi, Joe. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, you know what? I just thought of it now. I should have set up the joke because I knew you'd say I'd be back. So at the end of the last one, I should have said, I'll be back, right? Do the Schwarzenegger thing. And since I like to open with a joke whenever I can, I'm here to put the ass in astral projection.
Always happy to give us a laugh, Joe. So, astral projection. This is a very new topic to most, but not to you, right?
You're right, correct. Yeah. And, astral projection, remote viewing, some use it synonymous, some say it's completely different. So, I kind of put them into the same basket, but it depends on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm. Because you'll find other people will say it's an out-of-body experience. Some will say, oh, astral projection, that's like meditative kind of thing. Others will say astral projection is actually nothing. There's nothing like astral projection. So we have skeptics, we have believers with their own explanations. But today we want to focus on your story as well as other people who have had experiences with astral projections. But before we get to those people, how about you, Joe? You tell us your experience with astral projection.
For me, it's in the category of out of body, like you put it. I can't do it today. I haven't been able to do it for some time, but when I was younger, I was capable of it and did it, and was doing it, didn't know what it was, didn't know what was going on. It was just, we'd always had a degree of psychic abilities in our family, so I just, I look at it as that. And indeed, I could go, when I would go to bed at night, I could indeed, when you're getting closer to sleep, project out of my body and travel places. And, you might think that's just, that's your imagination. Well, no, I actually then visited those places later in life. And, I know where I'm at. I know where I'm going because I've been here before in a virtual state. So, and it's, not a deja vu kind of thing. That's, of course, a whole separate phenomenon and issue. One thing that stuck out the most for me was that when I was really young, we're talking 8-10 years old, so, still talking grade school and that, not going to junior high or high school yet. So my world was obviously pretty small. The house, a couple blocks around the house, two from school, two from places that the parents took me. But I projected onto several streets over to a house, a white house. The color is irrelevant other than that, the fact of what it was. And, I could still today picture the porch and the garage and everything, and even being able to float into that house. And it would have been nothing I would have ever seen before. But then later in life, as you grow older, your world expands. You go on to junior high, that expands. You go on to high school, that expands your world. That you travel places out of state, and that expands your world. So later on in life, I indeed visited that house, and then, like I said, knew it because I'd been there.
Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned before we started recording, I myself have never had a successful astral projection, but over the years, like how I told you in the first ever episode we had with you on the Wicked Campfire podcast, I've been trying to expand on my horizons in terms of paranormals and also anything unfathomable, leave alone true crime or anything, just anything around the paranormal. And I can't say that whatever I do is astral projection because you can see for most people with astral projection like you can actually wake up and remember this and this happened. But for me is something different. I can tell you something has happened, but I won't tell you that I was asleep or anything. Some people will tell me, oh, you were asleep, but I'm like, no, this has happened. I was fully awake. I was seated here, but I can remember just flashes. For me, I think there's something just blocking. There's just something blocking for me that's preventing me from having like a full successful astral projection, because you'll find that most of my quote unquote visions, I don't want to call them visions, I normally call them revelations, because they always happen. Like in the future, it's not like a prophecy or anything. No, I just see myself somewhere and I see myself with some people in my dream, and then later on, it doesn't have to be like tomorrow or a week or maybe a month. It could be years, but I will be there. And then it's like a deja vu moment, and I'm like, wait, I
Yeah.
remember dreaming about this. I was with these people. But the problem is that whenever I try to see more, or whenever I try to tap in and see more, it never happens. So I was always wondering, is astral projection just real, or was it just in my head or something like that? But I'm now realizing slowly that some people actually have successful ones like you, and also some people have it once in their lifetime. Like it just happens accidentally once. Some people have them regularly. It's like they fall into a trance and then it happens. They can't even
Some,
control it.
yeah, some people literally can enter that state of meditation or whatever and mentally prepare themselves and project themselves to a particular coordinate. Uh, Project Stargate did that. The government doesn't say officially whether it does or doesn't still use remote viewers to project themselves places. I would hope we do. I would suspect we do, but we don't say it. Because if and when someone is proven to be able to do this accurately, test them, hold tests. All right, we know this is happening here. Project yourself there and tell us what's happening. And if they're accurate, 9 out of 10 times, then there's obviously something there and something that can be relied upon in a great spy tool. Because satellites, still as good as they are, can only see so much. They can't see into buildings.
hmm And astral projection is similar yet different from shifting, because I told you that shifting is what I mastered right now, but astral projection I don't. Because with astral projection, you see, you have control over the present. You're not there just psychologically. No, your conscience is there presently. It's just that your body is not. So the surrounding is happening in real time. But with shifting, it's like you're forcing your conscious to go somewhere you actually want. It might be a fake place, it might be a makeup place, it might be somewhere that exists but in a different timeline. So you can actually tune your consciousness to take you there. And the fun thing about shifting is that if you get to a certain accuracy, you can actually activate your senses, the rest of your senses. You can actually start smelling, you can start hearing. You're not there, but you can smell your surrounding, you can hear your surrounding, you can clearly see and make out your surrounding, and even touch. I've heard some people have unlocked the sense of touch when it comes to shifting. So shifting is slowly becoming astral projection, but
Yeah.
in a different way, that you're not projecting into an actual existing world, you're
Well,
projecting into a
yeah.
makeshift world that you created in your own mind.
Yeah, I want to make a play on words here and to joke and tease you
Mhm.
that your audience understands that this is definitely something for you because we've always known you've been shifty.
Ah, Joe.
I couldn't resist.
It was right there.
You set it up.
On a
You were
civil
the
matter, you had to say it.
yeah, you were the Martin to my Lewis on that. You
Ah.
just set that up so well. I couldn't pass up the
Oh, that
opportunity.
was great. That was great. It was right there. It was right there. You couldn't even resist. Yeah, and actually, for those who might be confused with astral projection, if you have watched Avatar, The Last Airbender, whatever Aang does, like going into the spirit realm, like he leaves his body literally in real time and then he coexists in the spirit world and then he can go back into his real body. That is basically what astral projection is, but in an anime version where they have like watered it down so that it looks like, oh, he can visit the spirit realm. But technically, astral projection, you're not visiting only the spirit world, you're visiting your real world as well. Like some people can astral project from Canada all the way to Australia. They're there real time, they can see what's happening, they can smell what's happening, they can tell you whatever is happening where they are. And for some people, they can just do like a few blocks from where they are. They can't go far away. Like for you, you told us you just went a few blocks from where you used to go around as a kid. Yeah, some
Yeah,
people go far, far, like they
yeah,
even say they see other realms. I'm
yeah.
questioning that.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because another movie. I didn't see the second Avatar. I have no desire to. But the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves and Shia LaBeouf.
Hmm.
That's again because all these things we're talking about. There are varying definitions and degrees of what people accept or not. Like in the movie Constantine, he was able to go uh, by coming close to death, enter the realm of the dead.
Hmm.
If you've seen that movie, a great movie. I love that movie. In fact, I think I'll have to rent it tonight. Now that we've talked about it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, there are different kind of definitions depending on who you talk to, and I don't think there's necessarily a wrong definition.
Mm. I think it just depends with everybody's understanding of what astral projection is. Like, however you understand it, that's how you'll explain it. But I told you in the beginning that we have a video. And today, it's not like the other videos where we are checking out UFOs with evidence or ghosts with evidence. So we can check out the video of astral projections gone
From
wrong.
sudden and accidental projections to some creepy entities and all the strangeness in between, here are the top 10 bizarre astral projections. Go as planned. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have wolves. Okay, this is a story that reflects the first time I heard about astral projection, my immediate fear and worry I had about it. Not returning to your body when you want. They start off the story by writing that their experience started off normally. They flew through their bedroom window and there was a man in their backyard drinking a beer by a fire pit. The storyteller joins them for a drink, they talk like old friends, there were some other entities, but everything was just good vibes. Then they wrote, quote, all of a sudden I see 3 wolves come in from the backyard with strange, freaky looking masks, and they say, do you all want to play a game? As soon as they said that, I said hell no to myself and quickly went to snap back to my body. They then explained that despite every other projection experience they've had being able to return directly towards their body whenever they wanted, this time it was different. They were back in their body, but they couldn't, wake up. They couldn't move. They then explained that once they were finally able to wake up fully, they saw little dark spots and felt like they weren't fully back from the astral plane into the physical one. Now, the next time they went to project, the wolves were still in the backyard waiting to see if they were coming out again, so they probably smartfully decided against it. In our number 9...
Okay, so for that first one, Jill, what are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts?
Well, the only thought I had really was
Mm-hmm.
that they showed a person submerged in a pool it kind of reminded me of the Minority Report movie with, future crimes and the three in the pool, and they could see crime that was about to be committed. That kind of distracted me from the the whole story. But beyond that, I don't know what to think, because I never had a negative happening like that. Just like I've never, like when we were talking ghosts, I've never had a negative ghost experience or presence experience. That doesn't mean others can't accidentally cross a demonic line or something like this and have something go bad.
Yeah. So I think for this girl who had the astral projection in this particular video, I think this was her first time having a bad one, because the lady says that she's always had other various astral projections and she successfully gets back. But this one time, it happens and it goes wrong. And what captured my eye was the fact that she saw wolves in her backyard and this random guy drinking beer in her backyard. So there is a higher chance that maybe she astral projected into a realm with a similar backyard to hers. Or maybe she was like, quote unquote, in the world of the dead, because most cultures associate big black dogs or big black wolves with hounds of the dead. Like they haunt those nearing to death, or they haunt those stuck in like purgatory or something like that, like the living who is stuck in the world of the dead. And I think that was her situation, because she stumbled upon a plane she wasn't supposed to be in, and it was just accidental. That's why she had a very hard time to go back, because I've read cases where some people can astral project into a realm they're not supposed to be. So maybe you were meant to astral project here on Earth, like somewhere, just a place here on Earth, but you end up astral projecting into purgatory or somewhere where souls are wandering. And once a living soul is stuck with souls that are wandering or souls that are dead, there's something there that will be triggered, and it will know you are living and you're not supposed to be here. And now they want you to stay because you can't go back. And then when you try to go back again, it's like you're stuck in a loop. So I think that was the situation for this girl.
That's kind of the Constantine movie concept. Again, that these planes are dimensional. It's an interdimensional. Heaven and hell are all here heaven, the earth, and hell. They're all here in the same space in different dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah, and even you can actually picture as the dimensions like we are all on the same plane, but there's just this thin sheet where you can manage to just slip through and do in the next one. That's why you find this girl can astral project into her backyard, but it's different. There's somebody present there, but in the real world, that person isn't. There are wolves in her backyard, but in real life, there aren't. So there's a higher chance that there was let's say, quote unquote, a very thin fabric of realm separation in her backyard, and she slipped through it during her astral projection, and then she got stuck. Mistaken.
Yeah. Find spot today we have 11 days. This is the story that comes from a Reddit user, and the short of it is really summed up well in the caption, quote, "I accidentally had an astral projection that lasted 11 full days in my mind." Okay, we're off to quite the start. Basically, this person starts off by explaining that this isn't the first time they've accidentally astral projected. Like the other day, I accidentally slipped and fell on ice. I don't know how people are out here accidentally having an out-of-body experience, but I guess some people just have more interesting lives than me. So basically, this projection starts out with this person being in a cemetery. They didn't have a body, and instead they were just floating around. Then a sort of guardian spirit appeared and told them that they had a job they needed to do. They then spent 3 days digging in a cave and ended up digging a skeleton out of the ground, and once that was dug up, then they were no longer floating around and they suddenly had a body. From then on, this person and the spirit went walking through the forest, having long conversations about the person's life, and the spirit told them what would later happen to them in their life and answered a bunch of questions the person had for them. The final moment of the projection was when, on the last day, they arrived at a waterfall. The spirit allowed the person to play in the beautiful area for 3 hours and remarked how it was sad that they couldn't stay. After this, the spirit told them it was time to go, and they woke up again. They end off their story by saying that they weren't able to see the spirit's face, and while he told this person his name, they couldn't remember it as soon as they woke up. This left them with a distinct impression that they weren't supposed to know or remember these things. In our number 8 spot today, we have Breathe. The story is one that the poster called an odd experience, but I'm not gonna lie. When I read it, it was the one single story that got me kind of intrigued into the idea of projection.
Okay. Before she takes us into this breathing man in the background, with the second one was actually terrifying because their astral projection lasted nearly 2 weeks. That was 11 days. That's basically being like in a short coma, because how are you astral projecting without anybody realizing this person is not awake for 11 days?
Well, yeah. The way I interpreted it was that she could tell the projection was covering days and time passage, but not necessarily her physical body past that time.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I thought of a joke for the first one with the wolves. Maybe she was just envisioning the next Twilight Saga movie. But better late with the joke than never.
God. I was picturing the next Jacob.
Yeah.
Who would be the next Jacob?
Sorry, couldn't resist.
It's right
Again,
there.
People, if this is the only episode you're seeing, I guess I gotta repeat this disclaimer. Mm-hmm. Yes, I joke, but I gave you my serious story at the beginning. I take these things very, very seriously, despite my lighthearted, inserting humor here and there. I do consider this a very serious topic.
Mm-hmm. I know they'll understand because you yourself said that whatever the crisis, you must find humor in everything. You must insert humor in your life.
We'll go crazy. We'll be sucking on our thumb, crying in a fetal position in a corner all the time if we don't maintain a sense of humor.
True. True. Anyway, I'm intrigued by this breathing man.
I don't think I'm going to try it anytime soon, but I'll admit, it sounded kind of inviting. They wrote, quote, "So I was laying in bed last night and decided I wanted to try and astral project. I was just laying there and kind of came up with my own meditation technique when something kind of strange but really stimulating happened. Both my body and mind were still awake, so I don't know if I call this was me about to astral project or what. Suddenly my body felt really light but heavy at the same time. Also, it was like a new energy that I've never felt. I've also never breathed better in my life. So I'm asking if anyone knows what this was. I mean, I definitely can't say what this was, but it sounds kind of cool."
Actually, for this, it's actually explainable because they're saying that they felt like this when they were meditating, right? And often when you actually meditate, you can feel your body getting heavier. Let's say, especially if you're lying down, if you're doing your meditation lying down, you'll feel your body like getting heavy. It's like something's anchoring you down, but you'll feel something inside you. It's like lifting you up. It's like your own consciousness lifting you up. Because when you meditate, you actually be more self-aware about your consciousness, not necessarily about your body, because meditation is about releasing your body and accepting your consciousness. So this guy, I think he wasn't in the middle of astral projecting. I think he got into his height of meditation, and now he was confused because he wasn't quite sure if he was astral projecting, because technically he never left. He was still there. And he could feel the body, he could feel his body getting heavier, but with astral projection, it's just your mind, it's just your consciousness. Nothing to do with your body. So I think he just unlocked a new form of meditation where he got to a sensei level, and that's all. I think that's all regarding this breathing guy, quote unquote.
There's just something about the idea of being able to breathe better that I want to experience. Can anybody tell me if that's normal to astral projection? Maybe that's what's going to get me into it. In our number 7 spot today, we have
Maybe just take a Lamaze class. Maybe just take a Lamaze class if you want to learn how to breathe better, right?
Or do some breathing techniques on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just sit down with life coaches and do some breathing techniques once in a while.
Astral projection story that I guess shows an experience that is fairly common for beginners. They wrote about how they began with having sleep paralysis. They wrote, quote, "Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I know it's all hallucinations. I didn't see anything, but it sounded like there was something scratching at my window. I closed my eyes and floated upwards. Again, I closed my eyes, but could still see me passing stuff, but eventually I was in a black place. So I opened my eyes as an experiment and boom, back in my body. This happened before when I attempted an astral projection out of a lucid dream. Same deal. So it appears as though they are capable of the projection, but are just having trouble seeing. This probably isn't the most wild story on this list, but it is still quite interesting to see how people have different experiences, and that sometimes it can be based on your experience level. In our number 6 spot today, we have The Child. This story is about a very strange astral projection experience someone had. They wrote, quote, "I was having normal lucid dreams all over the place, and I came back home right over my body and could see myself and the blanket I was sleeping under. Right as I began watching myself sleep, I felt something bite me. And in the dream, I lifted up my blanket and a small child crawled out and I told it to get the heck out and it ran out the front door. I then woke up in real life. Weirdest ape."
That was a demon child. That was a demon child.
Well,
you don't just feel something bite you in the sheets and then it's a child in the dream. That's a demon child from hell. It came to scare you.
It wasn't. It was actually Chucky the doll. Right?
That doll horrifies me. I remember the first time I saw that film, I saw the original, the 1982 one. I think it's 1982 or 1992. I threw away every single doll that was in the house. Like, packed it up, threw it out. Like, today's Chucky films are not that terrifying, but the first one, whoever wrote that movie was messed up. Like, mentally, they are not okay.
P of my life. Just had to share it here. They then go on to ask Reddit if anyone else has ever been touched or hurt while astral projecting and had it actually hurt in their physical body. This seems like a super terrifying experience, but I also think bizarre is the perfect word for it as well. I definitely don't think the person this happened to was expecting it. I honestly don't know much about astral projection, so I wonder what this all could mean. In our number 5 spot today, we have The Fall. This story is about someone who had a negative astral projection experience, but they said it was still a fairly light-hearted one, which is always good. They wrote about how they went to bed early, so they tried some meditation to help them as they wanted to either lucid dream or astral project. I find this so funny because I absolutely hate dreams. I think sleep should be peaceful. I don't want to be thinking about stuff. I want to be left alone. Any day I wake up and can't remember my dreams from the night before is a great morning for me. So maybe I don't understand the desire, but I still think it's cool. They then go on to say that after this, once they had fallen asleep, they woke up every 2 hours, and at one point, they felt like they were awake, but that their body was still asleep. They then tried to roll out of bed / out of their body, and it worked, but maybe a little too well. Their projection self fell out of bed and hurt their hip, and it actually physically hurt them, which in the end returned them to their body. They end up saying it's no hard feelings, something that they just kind of laughed off. It was just surprising and kind of silly. In our number...
Okay, now that makes me question a lot of things. You know, I bruise easily, Joe, and there are times that I just look at myself and then I see that I have scratch marks out of nowhere. Like, they're not painful or anything, but you can see they're fresh scratch marks. And I'm always wondering, how did that get there? Like, sometimes you'll see it's like in on my back, like far to reach places, or like under your arm or somewhere on your palm, you see that like you have a mark. I have those marks randomly. Like, I sleep, I wake up, I have marks. I sleep, I wake up, I have marks. Now I'm wondering, is there a possibility that I astral project without being aware? Like,
It's a good question because now, like, let's go back to the ghosts uh, uh, episode. There are various times where sometimes a ghost presence can manifest a uh, uh, physical happening unto our realm. I've seen that on various ghost episodes and whatnot. A demon indeed scratches them, and you can see on camera they've got scratch marks all of a sudden. Now again, whether those are real or hoaxes or another, I don't know. But you were talking about the ability to still sense, smell, potentially taste things. So why couldn't there be indeed a potential physical connection? And the other one too said about lucid dreams. It's like, I don't have to do anything to prepare for lucid dreams. I have them, like we talked about on your other show, the Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book.
yeah.
Like most of my writings come to me in a dream. So, we all know us, unless if you really dig into the study of it, you don't know. So she has me questioning whether lucid dreams are a norm or not, because I've always understood that people do normally, at least occasionally remember a dream coming out of REM sleep, whereas I remember them a lot of the time, and she's saying she doesn't, but then again, she's preconditioned herself to, like she said, peaceful sleep. Now, that's a great idea. That's a great concept.
Yeah.
She's preconditioned herself kind of to say, if I am dreaming, I don't care, I don't want to know, and she may have put up her own block that in a waking state, it does kind of all get erased, or none of it comes to her fore memory.
Like I mentioned earlier, I also think that I myself have like a block, because there are times that I sleep, I'm aware I'm dreaming, but the moment I wake up, it's like erased. It's like error 404, nothing is there. I can't even tell you whatever I was dreaming about, but I can tell you that I was dreaming, I'm aware I was dreaming. So there's a higher chance that maybe I do astral project without knowing it. I just can't control it like most people, because even with my lucid dreams, I started having lucid dreams like a while back. I even have a whole entire episode dedicated to lucid dreaming, and I don't prepare myself, just like you. I don't, like the other guy, I don't prepare myself, I don't meditate or anything. It just happens. But the good thing with me, I've identified markers in my real life. It's like I normally wear a certain ring during the day, so that I know when I take it off, and I see myself wearing it in my dream, I know I'm dreaming because I took that thing off. So in my dream, I should not be having a ring. That's when I know I'm lucid dreaming, because there are times lucid dreaming can actually, I don't know what I can call it, I don't even have a word for it, where it can trick you into thinking everything is fake. Like, unless you have learned how to know, like some people wear ribbons in their hands so that they can be fully aware what they were doing before they went into bed. They can remember, I had a pink ribbon in my hand. So in my dream, if I have a pink ribbon, that means I'm lucid dreaming. But if I don't have it, it's like truly a dream. Like truly. It's like one of those dreams that doesn't have any meaning. But for astral projection, it's quite tricky, because she says that some people don't remember. I don't remember scenarios. There are some dreams I don't remember at all. I wake up, there's nothing. There are times where I have like these blank dreams. Like I see myself just there. It's all black. It's like my brain is empty until I wake up. I'm just there. I can see myself there. I can literally see myself there,
Yeah.
but all around me it's dark.
And
Not
some
even a
people,
single bulb.
yeah, and some people can shape and direct some of their dreams. I was able to do that when I was younger, where you're kind of in a state where you're conscious enough that you know you're dreaming, and you can kind of then try to shape the direction that that dream goes. And those to me are the best dreams. Those are fun.
Yeah, in that episode, that's what I'm talking about, how to control your dreams when it comes to lucid dreaming. Like when you realize that you're actually lucid dreaming, how you can actually control your environment to do absolutely everything. Because you're now fully aware, I'm dreaming, this is my world, I can do absolutely anything. There's no limitations to whatever. If you want a unicorn that poops rainbows and eats sprinkles, you'll get that. You'll actually get that.
Yeah, but now to tie this together with the other one about the scratches and the hip hurt and that, since we bring up movies a lot, that now brings up the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Like, if you're in the wrong state or the right state, however you wish to put it, and in the right, like dreams where you're falling, normally you wake up before you hit the ground. But what if you do hit the ground? And like in Nightmare on Elm Street concept, you die in your dream, you die in real life. I think that might be possible, but not the norm.
Yeah, or like those dreams where you feel like you're literally running because something or someone is chasing you, and then in the last minute you fall, and then when they're about to get you, you wake up. So it makes you wonder, what if they actually got you?
Yeah.
Or what if you continue running? Do you reach a certain end, or do you just keep on running and you're just stuck in this coma where you're sleeping but you're just running? You're just running. It's like you're stuck. You can't wake up now. No, you're just continuing running. Or when they catch you, what will happen?
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's name that played Freddy Krueger, but you should invite him on to discuss that topic.
I will try and find him. Ouch. Social media is a blessing these days. It's a blessing these days, because I told myself that one day, I'll find a way to question Stephen King. Because Stephen King's books, I wonder if he has like lucid dreams or astral projection so that he can write the stories that he writes, because The Shining is too real. It's too real for me. You can't tell me that we have a real hotel that looks the same way as the story that The Shining is based upon, and then you see into the tall grass. Actually, most of my fears are because of Stephen King. Like, whenever I see a show based on his books, or maybe I read his books, I get a certain fear. Right now, I fear grasses, like tall grass. I can't walk into grass. I can't walk into a maze because my brain will tell me that someone with a chainsaw will find me. I can't now walk into hotels with long hallways because who knows, two twins on a tiny tricycle will ride down there and find me and kill me somehow. Never know.
My ex-wife was a King reader. I never got into him, though I did see a few of his movies. I loved Christine and some of the other ones. Well, was They Live based on King? I don't remember. Not They Live.
Most horror films today are like books from King. Like when you read them, when the film is over and when the film is beginning, you'll realize that it says based on this book. And then in the end, they'll say it was Stephen King's books. So you'll find most people who are true Kings, they like read all the books, and then whenever a movie comes out, they've already read it. Like Cujo, Salem's Lot, Pet Sematary. I was even shocked that the Pet Sematary was a book that he wrote, because I love that show. I love that movie. It was a great movie. It was horrifying, because nothing like that should happen to a kid or their pets. But most horror films today are based on Stephen King. And also,
Fourth spot today, we have the sudden projection. This Reddit story starts off with the person explaining that normally when doing some sort of astral projection work, it takes them about an hour or so to build up the vibrations that lead them to the breakthrough. It takes time for them and isn't really something that happens suddenly. They then go on to explain that the night prior to their posting, they were just trying to head off to sleep when all of a sudden they saw brightness behind their eyelids and felt vibrations throughout their whole body. They wrote, quote, "I felt spinning and weightless almost immediately after. Meanwhile, that brightness was a pure, fuzzy, bright white light with a grayish, flickering circle in the middle of my sight, which appeared to have, for lack of a better word, lightning strikes all over the place. That circle with the lightnings or cracks started rotating very fast, and two even brighter spots appeared to the left and right of it, and I felt accelerating. They then leaned into the feeling. It kept accelerating until what they described as breaking through the circle and a typical, quote, sonic boom sound. After this, their destination slowly started appearing to them, but it was slowly loading, almost like a video game, and it was black and white or grayscale. This was sadly the end of what they can remember from their sudden, accidental astral projection." In our number 3 spot,
that one, listening to that one, it reminded me of zoning out. Do you see how sometimes you just zone out?
Yeah.
And then, like, somebody calls you, don't hear until the moment they touch you, and then they're like, Joe, Joe, Joe. And then you suddenly come back. And then you're like, wait, I was zoning out. I think zoning out can also be like a form of astral projection, because technically you were in your own mind and then your consciousness was just doing its own thing. And then you are aware what was happening, but it's like you don't remember, wait, in the physical world there's something else happening. I think zoning out can be considered as astral projection.
Interesting. Yeah, and they mentioned about their body shaking. Well, I'm wondering if they're just in California and feeling some minor earthquakes.
They're getting some 3.0s. He's using their own form of 3.0s. Because body shake, that's new, like body shaking and all that, because sometimes my ears ring out of nowhere. They just have like this ringing that's constant, non-stop. And then I feel like my eyes are just shaking. It's like it's like, do you know how earthquakes happen? And then it's like you have this mirage you're seeing in front of you. It's like everything is shaking, but it's not. That's how my eyes feel sometimes. But you can't say that's astral projection. Because maybe you are meditating and then you open your eyes, suddenly your ears start ringing and then your eyes start shaking. You are not astral projecting, you're just in the real world and your body is just malfunctioning, if I can call it that.
Yeah, and here we go to, again, the definition. And, everybody's experience, your mileage may vary, as the saying goes, right? Because, that person's talking about body tremors, and then a couple back, they were talking about paralysis. The two opposites. The body is overacting versus the body is frozen. So, one size does not fit all here, obviously.
Now we're in the top 3. I'm curious what...
Today we have the smile.
The top 3.
This is a story that comes from someone who marked this as a negative astral projection experience. They wrote, quote, "About 30 minutes ago, I decided to try astral projection again since I hadn't done it in a long time, but had a very non-pleasant experience. I went about the usual methods, simply entering a meditative state. Before I had assumed it didn't work, so I opened my eyes, and I was trapped in my body. I tried to lift myself, but to no avail. For some reason, I felt myself smiling widely, almost like my mouth was stuck that way, and despite my best efforts, I could not change its position. I began to hear a woman's whisper, and I would hear familiar instrumentals to songs. I felt like something was trying to enter me, like it was going through my nose, so I demanded it to leave, and it did. I went to check my phone, but it wouldn't work. For some reason, I had 2, but I do not own 2. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. This sounds absolutely terrifying, but also the most random collection of things. Some of the people responding to this story suggested that perhaps it was sleep paralysis, but there are also people discussing how the presence felt might have been some part of their consciousness that they had previously tucked away. In our number 2...
I'm thinking the movie Smile. Did she see the movie Smile a few days before?
That's what was hitting in my head. Why are you smiling? And then I just remembered the movie itself, and I'm like, no, that's horrifying. That's terrifying. You can just have, like, a smile that you can't suppress. Nah, that's serial killer behavior. That's psychopathic behavior, actually. Not even serial, it's psychopathic behavior. Because, how do you just astral... That's a demon. I get, exactly. They were possessed, now they're smiling, and then they're saying they had sleep paralysis. Nah, they had a demon inside them. They had it. They just didn't know it. They just thought they were smiling.
Spot today we have the shockwave. This story is about a negative experience someone had, and they were posting it in the hopes of finding someone who could give them a little guidance as they were feeling really unsure about the entire thing. They wrote, quote, "I was going through different eras full of beautiful sounds and ended up in complete darkness. There was a pinpoint of light, tiny. I pulled away as I feared it. As I pulled back to reality, it shocked my entire body. I convulsed. I was awake, but my consciousness was not with me. Every time I tried to move, I got vertigo, laid back down, and my body made me go back. I saw the light again. Boom, shocked my body again. I jumped. My heart raced as I was terrified. I was going 1,000 miles an hour or faster. I fought it and pulled myself out, zapped again once more. I was able to stay awake at this point, but I was done at the point with no desire to go back. Is this normal? What are your experiences?" Personally, this entire list is about stuff I have never experienced at all, so it's tough for me to say what's normal and what's not. If you're more familiar, maybe you can let us all know down in the comments. This sounds thrilling and terrifying, but is it a typical experience? In our number 1 spot today, we have the entity. Honestly, I am getting surprised at how many people somehow accidentally astral project. This is another one of those stories, and they wrote, quote, "I've been curious about astral projection on and off for years now, but never fully committed. I've had accidental lucid dreams too, but I never got the full hang of it. This morning I woke up, scrolled on the phone for a bit, then fell back asleep, but I felt like I was in a sleep paralysis, but in a different room, which was strange, so I thought maybe I could try it and see where I am. My body started feeling weightless, like as if I were flying, but I couldn't see anything but this blank wall that resembles the wall in my room, but it's blank. The walls in my room all have decorations and posters. I started seeing a human figure in the wall that started smiling at me, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It felt like it was saying the words, 'fall' to me, and it just kept saying it angrily. Then my body started feeling like it was actually falling, but I was still trapped in my bed. My blanket felt heavier. The only thing I could do was to breathe and just try practicing meditation, hoping I would calm down and get out. In this space I was in, I felt like I was able to slowly scoot out of the blanket, then I woke up." That sounds absolutely terrifying. I can't even imagine. I know this was accidental, but that definitely would have been enough for me to never project again.
Okay, for the first one and the second one. The second one is not as terrifying as the first one, but this first one, the entities, like I mentioned in the beginning, there's a high chance that astral projection could take you somewhere you're not meant to be. Like in the case of this one, where people astral project into realms they're not supposed to be in, or something crosses through with them. Like in the second one, you see it's like they were trapped. It's like they went somewhere, they were trapped, and whenever they try to get out, they just fall back into it. It's like something was pulling them back, and then something was pushing them out. It's like something bad was pulling them in, and then something good was trying to send them away. And for the first one, the first video here, you see that this person is seeing entities. And they're not friendly. They're like bad entities. And the worst thing is, they astral projected somewhere that looks close enough to be their room, but isn't. Just like the other girl with the wolves, she astral projected into her backyard, but it wasn't. Because there were things that were there that in the real world weren't. This is what terrifies me about astral projection, and it makes me like queasy to try even to think about starting astral projecting myself, because I'm quite sure I'll end up somewhere I'm not supposed to, knowing knowing me, knowing my brain, knowing my consciousness, I'll end up somewhere I'm not even meant to be at all.
Yeah, how much of any of this is actual projection, and how much of any of it, to be skeptical, like these last two, maybe they've recently seen the advertisement for the movie Smile, and they just then had a bad dream. So, it's hard to say. I mean, I know it happens, to some degree, because I've experienced it myself. But again, not having any negative ones, to not say that it's possible, I don't want to go that far.
Yeah, but for the first one, where they like projected into a room where they saw entities, for me, I can believe them. Not the smiling part, maybe they were just adding salt and pepper into their story, but actually believing that they saw something, because most of the times when I quote unquote have my revelation stroke visions, when I'm lucid dreaming or maybe just having regular dreams, there are times where I can, like, I have a dream, it's continuing, I'm lucid dreaming, but it just shifts. It's like somebody turned the station quickly, and then I'm somewhere else, and then seconds later I'm back to my lucid dreaming. And in those few seconds, I see things. I'll see people, not necessarily their face. I'll see what they're doing. Let's say I am lucid dreaming, and then boom, the channel shifts, and then I see you drinking tea, and then it shifts back to the lucid dreaming I was having. So most of the times I've always just thought it was a glitch in my lucid dreamings, because you find that they're never good. They're never good. Like those quote unquote channel shifts when I'm lucid dreaming, it's always something bad. It's like I'm seeing something bad happening. And when you're having a lucid dream and you can control it, and then this happens, it's just odd. It's just odd for me. And I don't even know if I can call it astral projection, because it's always a few seconds. It's not even a minute. It barely kicks into 30 seconds, because I'm in and out. I see something, and then I'm out. I see an entity, and then I'm out. It's like I'm just there to see it, and then boom, I'm gone. So for that first one, I can believe it that they see something, but just not the smiling part. Just not the smiling part. That's the second person who has seen smiling entities. They were trying to promote the movie.
Yeah, it could be too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but from the comment section of this video, the particular channel of this video, there are some people who are sharing their own personal experiences, and everybody had their own take or maybe their own story to share, because some of them were like sharing a story just to like what can I say, to like what can he, to like back up this particular video. It's like backing up the particular segments. It's like, oh, I also saw an entity with a smiling face, or oh, I also saw some moves in the backyard. But there are those who actually have like real life stories, like unique ones, like yours, because it's rare. You can't find somebody who also has a similar astral projection to yours, because yours, you are a child and it was near your home. This was something like, it's yours personally. You can't even steal it from anybody else. But I'm trying to connect to that channel so that we can read some unique stories and see everybody's experience. But before I get that connected, do you find anything particular with this?
Well, like the last episode and the bar. Again, there's always, like the movie studios and that use social media, they're creative to get buzz for their movies. So those last two indeed could have been plants to help promote the movie. Like the last episode with the bar, I believed them at first, but the more it went on, the more we saw how there was always somebody there that could have been manipulating what was going on around them. I didn't believe them anymore, and I felt that it was a hoax to promote that bar.
Yes.
So yeah, it's hard to delineate between the earnest people and those being paid to promote things and create hoaxes and other just fakes, frauds, because it gets them notoriety and potentially money.
Mm-hmm. And especially for things like lucid dreaming and astral projections, it's not like the way ghosts or orbs, you can actually prove them with recordings or anything like that. This is something that is happening in your mind. So absolutely anybody can make up a story.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
They can just come up to you and then give you a very convincing story that seems true, but it's not. It's completely made up, or maybe even comes from a book, or maybe it's something from a movie, and since you never watched it or since you don't know anything, you'd believe them. Especially stories on Reddit and stories online. People just come and then they're like, oh my god, I had this out-of-body experience. I was meditating and then blah 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 happened, and all this happened, and maybe they slept through it. They've never made it past the first step of meditating. They just slept through it. That's why astral projecting and lucid dreaming, it's a very hard topic to prove whether things are real or not, because everybody can add their own seasoning into their own story.
Yeah, yeah. We've been going about an hour, so I'm wondering how many people are actually still tuned in.
Yes. Also, the video is not loading like the original video, so I think I just have to link the original video in the description, and then everybody can just go read for themselves, because it's like the other world doesn't want us to read the stories. The realm does not want us to read them. I actually thought of doing an episode of that, doing an episode of the 9 realms, not the 9 realms in Asgard and Midgard and all that in Thor and Loki, like actual realms that are present, like the spirit world and this world of ours and any other world that people quote unquote astral project to. But that's a story for another day. So we are 58 minutes into the recording. So do you have anything else to add, like any final remarks regarding astral projecting or anything similar, lucid dreaming maybe?
No, just to say this is the last of our 4 in the series, so you will no longer have to put up with my lame jokes.
Oh my god. Actually, I won't have anybody else to give us jokes while we begin and jokes when we end. And even jokes in the middle of recording. But who knows? We will have future episodes. The year is not even over. We have 2 more quotas before the year ends, so you might be part of a new series where we talk about other things. Let's say we have done ghosts already. For those who don't know, we have covered orbs as well. Our first one was UFOs, for those interested in aliens, space stuff, and all that. And what else have we done? And now in the second podcast, we've talked about Joe's life and how to write books and get published as an author, and also about his book, Terror Strikes. So there is a wide topic of things we could talk about on Wicked Campfire.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine people are probably pretty tired of me by now, so.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. If they're tired of somebody, it's me. I have a podcast. They hear me 4 times a week. I'm sure. At this point, I'm a radio show, because you hear me 4 out of 5 days of the weekdays. So they're probably tired of me, not my guests.
Okay, I'll see you later. Take care.
Okay, so before we actually leave and log off, everybody check out Joe's social media pages. Check out my social media pages. Check out both our podcasts, Savage and Filtered Podcast with Joe and the rest of the co-hosts, and Care Life Podcast. You can check out the episodes. You can check out anything you want. You can check out shorts, TikToks, literally anything we post from me and Joe. It will be there. Links will be in the description down below. We appreciate Joe for being part of the Care Alive family and also the Kid Camper family. And for those tuning in and have stayed this long, we thank you. We appreciate you. And we can't wait to see you in our next episode.
With today's Twitter attention spans, a lot of people probably may not make it to the end. And you mentioned shorts. I can't do shorts. It's still winter here. It's too cold.
Jokes again. I sent that your way. I even never saw it coming. I sent it your way.
All right. Love you. Take care. See you later.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.